You've seen a chameleon change color. You've probably said it's hiding. You've been wrong your whole life. Is it camouflage? Is it mood? Temperature? Some kind of reptile magic? What's actually happening under that skin? And why do zoos say their chameleons are stressed when they go dark? Why does a baby chameleon start shifting colors before it even opens its eyes for the first time? Here's the short version. Chameleons don't change color to hide. They change color to talk. And once you understand how, you'll never look at a butterfly wing, a soap bubble, or even your own eyes the same way again. Picture this. You're at a zoo with a friend. A chameleon sits on a branch, skin slowly shifting from dull green to bright yellow. You nudge them and say, "It's blending in." Feels obvious, right? Every nature documentary shows the same thing. Chameleon on bark, chameleon matches bark, predator walks past, narrator whispers something impressed. Case closed. But here's the problem. Most chameleons are already pretty well camouflaged without doing anything at all. Their base color handles that job just fine on a normal day. So if hiding was the whole point, why would they ever light up like a neon sign in the middle of a quiet forest? They wouldn't. The color change isn't a disguise, it's a message. And the question is, what's it saying? And who exactly is reading it? This is where the real story starts, and it's way stranger than camouflage. Inside a chameleon's skin, there are two layers of special cells called iridophores, tiny light-bending machines built directly into the skin. The top layer is packed with tiny crystals made of a material called guanine, the same building block found inside DNA. These crystals are arranged in a tight grid, like a microscopic 3D checkerboard, impossibly small and impossibly organized. When the chameleon is calm, those crystals sit packed close together. A tight grid reflects shorter wavelengths of light, blues and greens. That's your resting chameleon sitting quietly on a branch, looking like just another leaf. But when it gets excited, spots a rival, locks eyes with a potential mate, or senses a real threat, tiny muscles pull that crystal grid apart. The crystals spread out like a crowd being pushed back from a stage. A wider grid reflects longer wavelengths, reds, oranges, yellows. That's your fired-up chameleon, blazing like something out of a science fiction movie. Calm equals tight grid equals green. Fired up equals wide grid equals red or yellow. The skin isn't releasing dye or changing pigment, it's rearranging its physical structure and letting light do the rest. It's a living mood ring, engineered at a level our best labs are still struggling to copy. The spacing between those crystals shifts by just a few hundred nanometers. A single human red blood cell is about 7,000 nanometers wide. The entire difference between a calm green chameleon and a blazing red one happens in a gap smaller than something you need a powerful microscope to see. But here's where it gets truly crazy. This is not how most color-changing animals work. Most use pigment, actual bags of colored dye that expand or shrink on command. Chameleons skip all of that. Chameleons use light itself as their paintbrush. Take the octopus. People always compare it to the chameleon, but the two couldn't be more different in how they work and why. An octopus uses cells called chromatophores, tiny sacs of colored pigment, like little water balloons filled with dye. The brain fires a signal, the balloons expand in milliseconds, and the octopus matches its background almost instantly. Fast, precise, and almost entirely about one goal: hiding. A threatened octopus can disappear into a sandy seafloor in under a second. Chameleons move slower, and for completely different reasons. A full color shift takes several seconds or even a full minute. That is not the reaction speed of an animal dodging a hawk. That's the pacing of an animal having a deliberate conversation. Then there's the cuttlefish, arguably the most visually impressive of all three. A cuttlefish can ripple shifting patterns across its entire body in real time, like a living television screen updating frame by frame, with different zones doing different things at once. Compared to that, a chameleon's shift is like slowly raising a flag versus running a high-definition video. Same general ability, totally different tools, totally different goals. The octopus hides. The cuttlefish hides, the chameleon broadcasts. So what is it actually broadcasting? To understand that, you have to go back, way back. Chameleons have been doing this for somewhere between 65 and 100 million years. One theory places their origin in the late Cretaceous period, meaning they were shifting colors while dinosaurs still walked the earth and the first flowering plants were just beginning to spread. Long before humans invented words, written symbols, or hand signals, color was already a complete and working language for these animals. Picture a male veiled chameleon in ancient Madagascar. The forest is dense, dripping with humidity, green in every direction. He spots a female on a branch 3 feet away. He doesn't make a sound, he doesn't lunge or puff up. Instead, his skin begins to move. Electric blue bleeds in from his sides, bright gold ripples across his back. Dark bands pulse along his ribs like a slow heartbeat. She watches and she reads every part of it. Brightness signals health. Only a genuinely strong animal can afford the energy to produce colors that vivid. Boldness signals confidence. The complexity of the full pattern signals genetic quality. She isn't just picking the prettiest male. She's reading a biological resume written entirely in reflected light. Color change isn't a survival trick. It's a dating profile, and it has been working without a single update for tens of millions of years. This is the part everyone misses. The same principle behind the chameleon shift, color from physical structure, not from pigment, is hiding in plain sight around you every single day. Morpho butterfly wings, that electric blue. Zero blue pigment anywhere in those wings. The color comes entirely from microscopic ridges breaking up and redirecting light. The same physics as the chameleon. Tilt the wing and the color shifts. Peacock feathers work identically. In darkness, those famous tail feathers look plain brown. The brilliant colors only exist when light hits the structure at the right angle. Soap bubbles make rainbows out of clear water, light bouncing between two thin surfaces and splitting into every wavelength at once. Oil slicks on wet pavement do the same thing with zero dye involved. Opals shift through every color as you rotate them because of tightly packed microscopic silica spheres splitting light. Same principle, just frozen in place. Hummingbird throat feathers flash brilliant red from one angle and vanish completely when you tilt your head because the color only exists in a narrow viewing range. The hologram on your credit card is deliberately engineered structural color, microscopic ridges bending light to make counterfeiting nearly impossible. Color-shifting nail polishes use tiny metallic flake arrays scattering light the same basic way chameleon skin does, just without muscles to move them. Sea scarab beetles have been worn as jewelry across ancient cultures for thousands of years, not because anyone painted them, but because their shells produce metallic gold or emerald green through structural color that never fades. And here is the one that will make you genuinely rewind. There is no blue pigment anywhere in blue human eyes, not one molecule. Blue eyes get their color the same way the sky does, by scattering shorter wavelengths of light more strongly than longer ones. Every blue-eyed person you've ever met has structurally colored eyes, built on the same optical principle as a chameleon's skin. Right now, labs studying chameleon iridophores are developing fabrics that shift color from a small electrical charge. Researchers building next-generation AR and VR displays are exploring structural color arrays that could make screens dramatically brighter without power-hungry backlighting. The chameleon solved this 100 million years ago. We are still catching up. Now, a fair reality check. Not every chameleon species puts on a dramatic show. Smaller species have a limited range. A few shades of green and brown, maybe some yellow, nothing close to a full rainbow. The vivid displays belong mostly to larger species like the panther chameleon of Madagascar or the veiled chameleon of Yemen. The shift also takes real time, seconds to minutes, nowhere near the instant reaction of a fleeing octopus. And here is the detail that will permanently change how you watch chameleon videos. Stress turns most chameleons dark, not as a strategy. Not because dark looks threatening. When a chameleon is frightened or sick, the body enters a stressed state and the crystals automatically default to tight packing. which reads as dark brown or black on the outside. So every time you've watched a chameleon dramatically go dark and assumed it looked fierce, that animal was almost certainly terrified. The colors are always honest. The chameleon cannot fake calm when it's panicking. It cannot perform confidence it doesn't feel. In a world full of animals that survive by deceiving with their bodies, the chameleon is completely unavoidably transparent. Chameleons change color to communicate health, mood, dominance, attraction, using physics instead of pigment, light instead of ink. The animal you thought was built to disappear is actually built to be seen by exactly the right eyes, at exactly the right moment. It doesn't change color to fit in. It changes color to stand out.